Welcome to the CodPast podcast, where your fishy past hooks your brilliant future. With Dr. Deborah, Laura, and Dr. Trish.
Okay. Well, you guys are animals.
All right. Actually, honestly, Trish, the ones she has on are the ones you gave me. So Trish gave them to me, and then I gave them to Deborah.
Thank you so much, Laura.
You're welcome.
I give you presents
They
and
look
then you
good.
give them away. Okay,
Regifting.
I feel like I didn't get the memo on the real fun reading glasses.
Yeah. They're from Dollar Store, and we all wear them for, it's like a signature.
I love it.
Yeah, Melanie's been here for a couple of days. They're her favorite thing in my house now. I'm gonna have to go down and buy her 5 pair of colorful readers.
And I think
my
we're
back
all at
scratcher,
a
but my
different
hair's kind of
level,
sticking
because
out.
when
I'm going to use it.
we pick them up for each other, we either
Use a back scratcher to comb your hair.
It worked. It was like sticking out.
things you didn't know.
The
Secrets.
Just another tool in your arsenal.
Exactly. And so we are so fortunate. Poor thing. She is like, what did I just walk into? So we have Paula Dieck on tap today, and I am so excited about it because this is my Friday afternoon club that I've had since I was in college, and it's a big deal. Fridays are a big deal to me because I remember having my fake ID in a bar in Durango, Colorado, having Friday afternoon clubs. So Friday is fun. And Paula and I met in the back of a Steve Miller Band concert, and we both had backroom passes at the same time. Yes, we did. And Foreigner was there that time. And I think Foreigner was up and when we were talking, I believe. And anyway, we just fell in love. It was love at first sight, but it lasted 2 seconds, I think. And then she invited me to go to this women's group that she was in. What was it? Pinnacle Women or something?
Creative Women of Pinnacle Peak.
Oh, yeah, right. And Pinnacle Peak and Creative Women, they're real sweet group. And I went. And so Paula and I got to hang out a little bit more. And then I was kind of involved a little bit when she was finishing up her book. And I was hosting some female authors at Starshine's property on the stage to talk about their books. And it just so happened that it all worked out. Paula came and we had kind of who's who there that night. And then she left.
I did.
And I never saw her again.
Oh.
And we just, we got busy and stuff started happening and we kind of went like that. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember, was that 2014 or?
Yeah, right around 2014, because in 2015 is
when did you and I meet, Laura?
Yeah, I met you in 2013, January of 2013. So around the same time.
I thought it was about that same time. And so I just moved out to Carefree, Arizona, and I do a walk, 75 hard walk every morning. And so I saw this sandwich board out on the main highway, Carefree Highway, and it says Paula Dieck. Now, notice her name, D-I-E-C-K. Tell me how many people you've ever met that have that name. Like 0. And so I'm like, it's got to be Paula, but that would be bizarre because here I am in Carefree after all these years, and what's the chance of her being in Carefree after all these years? And so there was a phone number there, and I called her and I said, you might not remember me at all, but like I don't have any friends at all in Carefree, and I'm just looking for somebody to love if you're available. And she called me. It was so wonderful. And in the time that we've gotten back together, man, have we cooked up so many things already. And so I'm really honored that she's on here. And I think everybody's going to be really blessed by what she has to say. But I know that we start off in a very different way. And so, Deborah, why did we name this podcast the CodPast? It's every day that people say, did you say cod as in fish? Why are you saying cod instead of pod? And I go, well, there's a story to that.
We named this fish the CodPast podcast. We named this fish. We named this podcast the CodPast podcast because we thought of that name, and then we said, well, what would be the tagline? And we thought, well, it's your fishy past hooking your brilliant future, because we wanted to be able to talk about our lives and with pride and not with shame of what's happened to us in the past. We've all had fishy pasts, and sometimes it's good to talk about it. And where did your past take you to in your future?
Wait. You have to do the song.
Oh, yes. And we have a song to do too, and then a fish joke. So I will do both of those right now.
Deborah's daughter wrote and recorded our music. Shelby.
Yes, it's Shelby's voiceover.
Welcome to the CodPast podcast, where your fishy past hooks your brilliant future. With Dr. Deborah, Laura, and Dr. Trish.
Hey, I don't think if I've ever told you that Mark Cohn's grandfather had the first Chevy dealership in LA, and his best friend was the guy who created the Shelby cars.
Oh,
And
really?
that movie that came out last year about Shelby, or I don't know, was it called Shelby or?
I don't know.
It was all about that guy, and they mentioned Mark's grandfather in that.
Oh,
Wow.
interesting. That's cool.
Forgot about the Shelby connection we had.
And we always start with a fishy joke. This one is a fishy statement as opposed to a fishy joke, but it's pretty funny. How's the calamari? Why, it's exquisite. Thank you.
Yay! Deborah takes on the entire, like, everything. She's got to post it. She's got to find the music, and she's got to do the joke. So bravo. You
Oh,
did
and I
it.
have to explain the CodPast, beginning of the CodPast. So anyways, we're silly, Paula, but we're so happy that you're here. We can't wait to have a great conversation with you and just, share information and learn and be blessed by you. We're excited.
Well, we're silly, but we're significant. Don't forget.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm very honored, and it's a privilege for me to be here. And I'm looking forward to getting to know each and every one of you a little bit more. And so happy to have reconnected with you, Trish. It's definitely a blessing. And how could I ever forget you? Seriously. You gave me my first onstage experience with my book. So I'm forever grateful.
That's great, Paula. What was your first book about?
It's a memoir. It's titled I Look Like Me, and it is my story of adoption, being raised as an adoptee in a very loving home and having an amazing family, and yet still, all the things that come with that. There's always two sides, and you're not always aware of all of them. And so it's my story of growing up as an adoptee, becoming an adult, having a successful career, and then in my early 30s, realizing that I had a lot of abandonment issues and low self-esteem, low self-respect, and then my journey of self-love.
Oh, that's beautiful. So did you write the book in 2014, or was it before that? When did you write the book?
I started writing it. I talked about it for about 10 years. And then I started writing it. I think I wrote the first chapter in 2010, and then I didn't write again for a couple of years. So 2012, 2013 is when I really started focusing on it. And I think I published at the end of 2014.
Okay.
Beautiful.
I saw in your bio that you started out or began your career perhaps as a speech language pathologist,
Mhm.
which I thought was really interesting. I've directed therapy departments before, and one of my great friends is a speech language pathologist. So I know a little bit about all the miraculous things you guys do to help people with their speech, with their swallowing, with their cognition. And my question to you was, how did that influence your future journey? And what I would like you also to do is talk a little bit about where you started. I guess that's why I'm starting there, and how you got to where you're going, and what your dreams and goals are, and what your actual product is.
So I actually went to college to be a pharmacist. And it was too much chemistry. I didn't realize that. I loved anatomy and physiology.
Too much chemistry. Got it? Too much chemistry.
Can there be too much chemistry?
Sorry.
Anyway, so I switched to physical therapy for a semester. And then there was something about that just wasn't jiving with me. And so I called my mom. My parents were both teachers. And I called my mom and I told her, I'm not going to drop out, but I don't know what I want to do. So next semester, I'm just going to take all kinds of fun classes. And she said to me, why don't you take a speech therapy class? And I said, I don't even know what that is. And because my parents were teachers, they had the summers off, and I absolutely loved that. I couldn't imagine being in a family where parents only had 2 weeks off every year as vacation. And so I thought that'd be great, because my mom told me I could have the same schedule. I'm like, okay, well, I'll check it out. So I took an anatomy and physiology class related to speech therapy, and I changed my major. And yeah, so that led me to that career, and it was wonderful. I thought I was going to work in schools, and not once have I worked in a school as a speech language pathologist.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't get the schedule I thought, but the path I took at the university took me more toward the medical industry. And so I ended up being a speech therapist in nursing homes and hospitals for the most part. And I loved it. I loved helping people. I loved seeing, if a person came in with tube feeding after having a stroke, being able to get them back onto a regular diet, seeing them be able to talk again and express themselves. And it was wonderful, but it was never really my passion. So when I started my own journey to self-love, I became a certified life coach in 2013, finished my book, published my book. I'm certified to teach a class called Infinite Possibilities, the Art of Changing Your Life. That's all about the law of attraction. So my own journey helped me realize that I loved seeing people and helping people. And as a speech therapist, all of my clients were a captive audience. So they didn't necessarily like it when I came in to see them, especially, people who are not feeling well and they're in a nursing home and they've just been in the hospital, and I'm telling them they have to eat pureed food and I have to put thickener in their liquids, and they have cognitive deficits. They didn't want to hear that most of the time. They were grateful for the help, but didn't necessarily like it. And so that was a bit of a challenge. Even though it was gratifying, I decided that with the journey that I had been on to find my own level of self-love, I wanted to help people who were feeling low self-esteem, low self-love, stuck, stressed, whatever it was, and help them move forward and realize just truly how powerful they are. And so the clients I see now are people that choose to come to see me. So that's how it shifted from speech therapy, which was a great career, to what I do now. So right now I have a business. It's called Champion Your Destiny. And I blend a combination of life coaching, hypnosis, Reiki, and a technique called PSYCH-K, along with my own experience and other tools I've gleaned along the way, and I help my clients move forward.
Wow, that is really interesting. And can you expand on that a little bit about the elements of your treatment or your program?
Sure. So some people come to me just for Reiki. They want to have which is a form of energy healing. It's universal light. It's spiritually guided universal life force energy. So the energy flows through me to my client, and the client benefits from it, and it heals on all levels. physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. So it's not anything special I'm doing. I am the channel. It's not my energy. It's universal energy. I'm just the channel for it. And it's very relaxing and healing. A lot of people do come to me just for that. But the majority of people that seek my services are looking for something more. They definitely want to be relaxed and feel better and heal, but they're feeling stuck, they're feeling stressed, they maybe have a business and they want to expand it, or they're going through a really difficult time and they're not quite sure how to get through. So I blend the things that I do: life coaching, hypnosis. I'm also certified as a hypnotist, and Reiki and PSYCH-K. PSYCH-K is a way of getting both sides of your brain on the same page around a topic. It's called whole brain thinking. And it's very different from hypnosis, but it works on the subconscious level as well. And what I find when people come to me, a lot of things that are holding them back are deep-seated limiting beliefs, or beliefs that they've created that are keeping them stuck, that don't necessarily need to be true for them, but on a conscious level, they can't release them or move through or change them into positive, empowering beliefs. And so PSYCH-K and hypnosis get to the subconscious level. And that's where I see a lot of the progress with my clients.
Mm-hmm. Paula, I got to ask you a couple of questions, because my friend and I got into this deep discussion about hypnotherapy, because I've been certified in just about everything, including Reiki. Laura is recently Master Reiki.
Yes.
And I said to you as well, both of you guys, what I learned about Reiki is probably like, Model T Ford compared to a new Lamborghini now. But I still know the concepts and I still appreciate the hands-on. But so I was pretty good in hypnosis therapy, and I worked at it for a while. But the people that you see on television or in Las Vegas, where they tap somebody on the shoulder and the person just falls down on the ground or starts, acting like a chicken or something like that. Have you ever been able to do anything like that with people, like, turn them into a chicken or?
No, I'm pretty sure I could, but I don't. I don't do that. And
let's all do it together sometime. I think let's get together and do Reiki and hypnotherapy, and I'll tell you what, one person will be okay and the other three go into chickens. And then that person has to get them out, and then it's the next person's chance.
I want to be a cow. I don't want to be a chicken. I want to be a cow.
My friend and I, we got into this discussion 2 nights ago. And so we started looking up everything on hypnosis on YouTube, and we were laughing so hard. I mean, this one guy had probably 50 people hypnotized at the same time, and they literally fell over on top of each other to go to sleep. We were just laughing so hard. I mean, people were like, and then 4 more people would be leaning on their leg or whatever. It was so funny. And I just go, gosh, how do those people do that? Like, they just go this, or they go and this or this, and then it boom, and you wonder how many times we're hypnotized and we don't know it in a group,
More often than you know.
No, I mean,
wow,
I know.
That's really interesting.
I know rock star stuff. I know politicians. They know these tricks, but what are they? I got to go back to school and learn this stuff.
Yeah, okay, so there are different ways of doing inductions. That's what it's called, the induction. That is what puts you into trance.
The induction.
So, okay. Yeah, that's the technical term for it. There are so many ways, and there are ways to do it very quickly. I personally have not utilized a lot of those techniques that I was taught. The way that I do my hypnosis is typically combined with Reiki. So I do something called Hypno-Reiki. So for me, when I see a client, they get on the table and I start with Reiki for about 20 to 30 minutes. And that actually slows down their frequency of brain waves, and that puts them into a meditative state, which is what hypnosis is. It actually puts you into a deep meditative state. And so
Well, and I think that that's why people used to say I practice satanic stuff and all of that, because I was wiping out people's ability to connect with Jesus. I'm like, I teach Bible studies. I don't do that. But people think that if you're in a meditative state, you can be hypnotized and then some evil something will jump in your head. And, I used to tell people, nobody can hypnotize you to do something that would be against your morals or against your principles. Right. Like, I couldn't hypnotize somebody to go kill somebody that, I guess unless they wanted to. I don't know.
Well, maybe I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know about that specific level of hypnosis. Here's what I do. I would never program anything like that into a person. And I tell people when they come to see me, hypnosis, clinical hypnosis is a little bit different than stage hypnosis, right? You're going to be aware of what I'm saying. In clinical hypnosis, you get into that meditative state. Here's an analogy. It's like driving a car. When you're driving a car, if you've been driving for a while, you actually have trained your subconscious to drive the car. So that's why you can drive from point A to point B, a place you've been before, and have your best friend in the seat next to you and have a conversation. And you're actually focused. Your conscious mind is focused on the conversation you're having with the friend, right? But you're still driving the car. So how is that happening? Your subconscious has taken over driving the car. But
you know what, Paula? That's shocking that you're bringing this up. Do you need to finish a thought? Because I got to ask you another question.
The conscious mind is subdued, but it's still aware enough that in the example of driving, if something happened, let's say somebody cut you off real quick, the conscious mind would step in really fast and you would, the reflexes would come. So that's what I tell people about hypnosis. When I'm doing clinical hypnosis, your conscious mind is going to be very relaxed. And once the conscious mind is relaxed, then we have access to the subconscious mind and then it's open to suggestion. So that's how hypnosis works. It's much more open to suggestion and able to take that suggestion and move forward with it. But the conscious mind is always there. So I always tell them, you're going to have control. You're going to be safe. You're going to have control. And honestly, in the last 4 or 5 years that I've been doing hypnosis, I've only had 2 clients that have gone into such a deep trance that I couldn't get them to respond when I was asking them questions. And when that happens, then I just know that their subconscious mind is wide open. So I just program in all the stuff we talked about, all the things that they want to have.
This is fascinating. I really love this analogy of driving a car. And I'll tell you, it kind of goes into another conversation I wanted to ask all you guys about, having to do with all these new plant medicine techniques with ayahuasca and all of that. But what you said, there's a story that Steve McCarty, who is my former husband, who was part of the Steve Miller Band, and he was about 16 or 17. And they were playing, I think, at the Fillmore in San Francisco. And they used to take LSD before they performed. And that was in their very early days, because they could not do that today. I can promise it would not work. But in those days, that's what they did. And so they took some LSD, and then Steve Miller goes, "Oh my gosh, Steve, we left all the cords back at the house. You've got to go get them." And so they're, in San Francisco, and, the roads are like this, right? And they're in a big van, and Steve McCarty has never really driven around San Francisco or anywhere really, and they live over in Mill Valley, which is like across the bridge over to the island outside of San Francisco, back downtown, back across the bridge, back downtown. So Steve said, "What could I do?" I said, "Okay, I'll go get him." And so he gets in the van. This story scares me to death, but now I feel better having you tell that story. So he said, "I got in the van, and all of a sudden I'm starting the car and I'm driving in the clouds. and all the sky was so beautiful. It was in every color you can imagine. And he said the van was just driving over the clouds, and just perfectly. And he said, I've never enjoyed a drive so much in my entire life. And he said, I got to the house, I went in, got the cords, put them back in, and went back and drove back over on the clouds again. He said, I have no idea who I passed, what I did, how I stopped, how I went. I had no idea. And he said, I didn't have any problem whatsoever. And, you know, I've never done LSD, so I don't know anything about that. But that story always was like, that scares me to death. How many people are out there driving on LSD that I'm looking at them going, oh my gosh. And of course, I know some people zoom by. I'm like, oh, they're crystal meth, you know. But it must be that some of these drugs open the door of perception, but your conscious mind goes, I got to take care of this child or whatever. Because I never could understand, well, how can you be out of your mind and still do anything? But I guess they're not out of their mind in a way.
Yeah, I think the subconscious takes over.
But I wouldn't recommend it. For our guests that are listening, don't do that. That was a very young Steve back in the day, and thankfully everybody turned out okay.
Well, I think it's the example is alcohol and driving, because how many people have driven drunk? I mean, practically almost everybody. And yet how many people get killed with drunk drivers? And so people have taken the chance a million times, but it only takes one bad move and then your life is over.
Think about it. If you're talking that example specifically, if the subconscious mind takes over the driving, but the conscious mind is supposed to be just subdued in the background, ready to step in when needed, and then you're inebriated and have taken that awareness away, right? So the conscious mind is not.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So your subconscious is doing a pretty good job, but when you need it in an emergency, and your conscious comes in, it's not in good shape to make good decisions.
No, it's drunk.
Yeah, it's drunk. Not a good thing.
Well, you know, I when you were talking about the tools that you use and hypnotherapy, this is something I'm really interested in too. I know that's not all we want to talk about, but Laura's done Reiki on me before, so I know what it feels like, and I would like to get it more regularly. But with the Reiki / Psych, what was the other one? PSYCH-K. Mm-hmm. Can you explain that a little bit more about how that works? Is that the hypnotherapy? Or
no, hypnotherapy is, so I do Reiki with hypnosis. So I start and I do Reiki, and then as soon as I'm done with the Reiki, the person stays laying on the table, they never move. And I just sit down in a chair, the chair I'm actually sitting in right now. I turn down the music, and then I take them into the induction process, which is like a guided meditation to get them into even a deeper meditative state before I start programming. And sometimes with hypnosis, I do a lot of trauma release. So I can actually have a conversation with the person, or I talk to their higher self, and because the higher self, your subconscious, has the answers because you're connected to all, right? It knows every detail of you and it's connected to all. So I can have a conversation with people, and then we can solve problems, we can release trauma. That's the hypnosis part. And Psych-K is a whole different thing. So a lot of people they're hesitant about hypnosis, and I understand that. Psych-K is a way of taking limiting beliefs, and you come up with a statement that is positive, personal to you, present tense, as if it's already done, short and concise. And so, for example, let's say you break up with somebody, and on a intellectual level, you know it's the best thing that you could have done, but emotionally you just can't get over it, right? So you're kind of conflicted. How do I get past this? That's a perfect example for an opportunity to use PSYCH-K. So we come up with statements, something like, I believe I made the right decision and I'm comfortable with that decision, might be a statement. And then we use muscle testing to see if they actually believe that statement. So there's a way of standing and eye posture, the way you hold your eyes, that connects your physical body to your subconscious mind. And so we use muscle testing to see, they say the statement, and then we use muscle testing to see if they believe it. And if they don't, then they test weak. And then there are things called balances, 2 major balances that we do. First, I ask if it's safe and appropriate to balance for that specific statement. And then we do a muscle test and your body will say yes or no. 99% of the time it says yes. And then we test which balance is the right one for that statement. And based on that, then I also have to ask if the subconscious needs clarification around that statement. The whole process probably takes anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, depending on the balance that the person ends up doing. And the balance has to do with standing certain. Sometimes you have to, cross your hands one way and do this, and cross your ankles one way. And we test for which is the right way for that specific statement. And then you have to repeat the statement over and over until they have a shift. And then there's another one where you stand with your arms out to the side and you literally imagine in one hand you're holding one hemisphere of your brain, and in the other hand you're holding the other hemisphere. And when both hemispheres are ready, your subconscious mind starts to move your arms easily and effortlessly toward the front of your body where your hands meet. And you don't move them. It's so amazing how that works. Wow. And so that's the process, but it's very powerful in reprogramming the subconscious with positive empowering beliefs.
That kind of makes me think, because I've studied a lot of techniques. Most of them are physical. One of them is called PDTR, proprioceptive deep tendon reflex, but they talk about emotional. So, the body keeps score and you get pains in your body. And if it's related to an emotion, you can tell whether, like if you look up to the right, it's things remembered, things thought, all the things you're talking about, and then you can release it from the body. But my question then is, there are all these modalities. I mean, I think we're all 4 of us are healers in our own way. We just want to heal people and ourselves, starting with ourselves. But I'm wondering if you have any insight or thoughts of why no one technique takes care of it all. Like, why do we as human beings have to go through trauma, not release it, or not release it all at once? Why is it such a long process and not a full process, in your opinion?
That's a good question.
Well, what do you say? Restate it, Laura, because I am a little bit unclear about what you just asked.
So PSYCH-K sounds great. You know me, I'm like, I want to go study that. That solves all the problems. And then you go and you study the technique and it solves a lot of the problems, but not all of the problems and not every single person's problem. Like, why is there not a one size fits all, heal the world, magic genie?
Well, can I address part of that?
Oh, yeah.
I think I'm so deep into this subject right now, and it's molecules of emotion. It's Candace Pert's work and Bruce Lipton's work on biogenetics and epigenetics. And, we have a huge amount of programming from our ancestors. It is DNA. It is real pieces of something. And, we think that we've been told the wrong thing. We've been told that all emotional issues are unresolved problems. Is probably from who was the whacked out, so famous psychiatrist that
Sigmund Freud.
Honest Pete, and I'm sure I'm just going to say it how I feel. I think he did more to screw up our world than any one person, even though I know there were some things that he said that were relative to the time and effort. Overall, I think he made people believe that they were either screwed up or not screwed up, and there was a reason, not a reason, and that it's all about your stuff you've been through. but it's not true. It's what you've been through and every relative you've ever had, and how much those things that your relatives went through end up affecting you in this lifetime depends on a whole bunch of different factors, because not everybody is carrying all the weight of their baggage of their ancestors. Not everybody is, because maybe they had parents this time that somehow miraculously got rid of most of those emotional problems, those emotional molecules. But we've been taught that it all is in this lifetime, and that you need more therapy, you need more drugs, you need more whatever. And it's just not true. It has to do with ancestral damage and then ancestral washing through. You can fix it. There are ways to fix it. Paul's talking about amazing stuff that I've never, I know about muscle testing. I know about the difference in your, your hands and yoga and all that. But I never thought about it, if you put that together with some other things that Joe Dispenza is doing and that Young Living is doing. And so, I don't know, Laura, I mean, I feel this way. It's not our fault. A lot of it is. A lot of choices are our fault. We can make a choice to do certain things, but clearing it is a possibility. I mean, it's not a possibility. Clearing it is here and now. You can do it. Now, do you want to? And now, do you want to do the 75 hard work to get it there? But the information is there. It's just collaborative information that everybody has to get. It's what Melanie is calling multidimensional medicine. And it's interdimensional, yes, but it's multidimensional. It's a whole bunch of stuff. It's not one, but you can clear it. It's fixable. Paul is doing it every day. I'm doing it every day. You're doing it every day. Deborah's doing it every day. Things are fixable. They don't have to be a disaster. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, I also feel that I think that as individuals, we learn different and we are open to different things. And so I think that's why there might be one specific healing modality that could help everybody, but they may not be open to it. It's like coaching. How many coaches are there out there? Millions and millions of coaches, I'm sure. And a person could come to me and maybe we don't jive. I could say the exact same thing and do the exact same technique as another coach down the road, but that person's not going to get it from me, and they get it from somebody else. So I think that every healing modality obviously has a time and a place and value. I just don't feel that every person would be able to be open to it. Does that
I
make
love that, Paula. It's kind of like, so what I'm hearing is institutionalized food does not taste as good as an individual approach to,
Right.
and that energetic effect of whatever it is that releases it.
Right. Right.
And so, Paula, I have a question for you about, I sort of studying and learning about the 7 energies of leadership, and and also the 7 energies that we have, starting at level 1, which is literally victim mentality type of thing. So different people are in different places, and I've experienced that this week, being around some very negative energy at work, and I can't escape it because it's a situation. However, and it affects you even though you don't want it to. Then I use all my tools to get out of it, right?
Yeah.
But do people with different energy have different, have you found that different modalities work better for people, or do you change your modalities as their energy goes up?
Absolutely. I meet people where they're at, and that's the goal, right? Meet people where they're at, because we're all on a continuum. I think of personal growth or healing as a timeline, right? And we're all at different places in that timeline. And so people will come to me, and if they could come in with a package of sessions, let's say, because they have something that is not going to be a miracle cure in one session, right? I mean, for me to get to a place of self-love took me probably about 10 to 15 years where I could actually look in the mirror and really, truly love who I see. Okay. So it's not necessarily an instant overnight thing. Maybe I just didn't get the right modality. Maybe it could have been. But so when people come in, a lot of times they want to know, well, are we going to do hypnosis all the time? Or are we going to do Psych-K? And I say it all depends. Depends on what's going on that specific day, what we're talking about, and where you're at regarding that specific situation.
And then on top of that, whether or not COVID hit, because something like COVID, we didn't know even how to operate in that with these kinds of issues. So on one given day, all of a sudden you got a big game changer. And then what are you going to do with that?
Yeah, that was a tough one. Tough. And lots of isolation and slow onset of PTSD for most people, right?
Well, I think
a lot of trauma that I think we as healers need to help people say, there has been past trauma. It was personal, it was professional, it was all of those things. We need to name it to tame it, like Laura always says that. And we need to move past this. We need to identify it, deal with what happened and how we feel about it. And then we need to stop the slow drip that is continuing of fear. And it's literally a slow drip that's on purpose. So we have to be brave enough to stand up to that. Otherwise, we're going to be controlled. And I mean that just by, narratives. You don't know what's true and what's not true, but it's as positive healers, it doesn't really matter what's going on if you have the right tools and you're vibrating really high. It all it floats below you.
One of the discussions I had a couple of days ago is this was pretty graphic, but it really hit home, is that we all know that we're an average of the 5 people in our head. And so who are those 5 people and what are they saying to your head? So, and one of them might be you at a younger age, or you at an older age, or your mom or somebody. But anyway, you've got these 5 people, and let's just say you're working really hard to have really strong influence in your head. One of mine has always been Franklin, because he was an actual uncle and he had all these processes that were great. And right now one is Jack Canfield, because his work and his processes are just off the charts. And this person said, well, it's kind of like we're a big vat of water, which we are, right? This is a vessel of humongous amount of water. And if you take a tiny, tiny, tiny little speck of poop and you throw it in that bucket, the whole thing is contaminated. And so you have to, if you choose to be around low energy or people that constantly are
complaining,
I mean, I was going to say shitty, but because I was using that analogy, but but I won't say that since we're on podcast. Anyway, the thing is that as we open ourselves up to that realm, we're going to be affected, and there's no way around it. I mean, for a little while, you can do a whole bunch of things, a whole bunch of techniques and black pepper. I just learned last Friday, black pepper is the best thing for anti-anything. So if you're trying to protect yourself or your aura or your energy field, put black pepper on the very back of the black pepper oil I'm talking about. I'm not sure the kernels will work. I don't know, maybe, but put it on the back of your head about 2 fingers down from your skull, and it will protect your aura, and it'll kind of cause a bounce off of stuff that you have to be around. You might need to be doused in it completely right now, Dr. Deborah. But
I'm going to take it with me next week. So Paula, what techniques do you have your patients do or your clients do in order to ward off negativity? And sometimes it's self-induced, I get that, but people that
So the one assignment that I give every single client that walks through my door as homework is to preferably first thing in the morning, to get up and the first thing, get a piece of paper and a pen and write out an appreciation list of at least 5 things that they appreciate. And I tell them, and some people, literally people will come in and sit on my couch, and I'll say, let's practice. Give me 5 things right now that you appreciate. And some of them have a hard time with that. Like, and I'll say, okay, well, look around this room. Are there 5 things you appreciate around this room? I can think about 50. Right? Or I'll give them an example. Think about your bathroom. There are like at least 100 things in your bathroom that you appreciate. You may not be aware of it, but I'm pretty sure you appreciate hot running water. You appreciate toilet paper. You appreciate toothpaste. You appreciate your toothbrush, whatever it is. So I'm training them to start looking for the positive things. And the more they do that on a regular basis, the more that it starts to continue throughout the day.
Wow. That's shocking that people can't think of something.
It's pretty sad. Most people can, but here's the kicker. I tell them, okay, some people will come in and they'll say, okay, yeah, I appreciate my family. I appreciate my car. I appreciate my job. I appreciate, and they can rattle off 5 things. And I say, okay, I got those written down. I'll text those to you because you've already used those. So now the goal between this week and next week is I want you to do 5 different things every single day. So don't be repeating the same thing. I don't care if you appreciate hot cup of coffee or you appreciate your spirituality, or you appreciate your sense of humor. You can be really deep or you can be really surface level. It doesn't matter. Just start appreciating.
Can you
Yeah,
talk
because
a
people
little?
don't even realize how lucky we are in today's modern world to have water.
Right.
I mean, Trish was just talking about Benjamin Franklin. Back in their days, they were all drunk because it was safer to drink alcohol than it was to drink water. And so, we just have kind of fallen into this taking everything for granted. It just seems easy. So I love that, Paula. So actually, then I'm going to ask you a question. It's time for my question. My question tends to be metaphysical, and it's about, have you seen an angel or a UFO or had some kind of synchronicity that seemed miraculous? And that would even include, with your hypnosis, maybe a reincarnation or something like that.
Yes, I have. And I love it when it happens. I've had multiple visions, is what I call them. And it usually happens when I'm doing Reiki. And I have had, the best one, well, not the best one, the first one that was really impactful was I had just started dating my now ex-husband, and he was not very open to Reiki. He didn't believe in it, let's put it that way, but we had just started dating. So I said, I want to give you a Reiki session. So of course he said yes. So we were I owned a condo at the time, and I had my table set up and I was doing Reiki. And as soon as I had my hands on his feet, it was one of the first visions I ever had. I literally had a vision of an angel that had a shovel and was digging dirt. It was digging dirt, digging dirt, digging dirt. I thought it was, and I'm sure it happened quickly, but it seemed like it was a long vision in my mind. And the angel got down to what was like a wooden box and cleared away the dirt, and then took his hands and put his fingers underneath the lid and pulled up the lid. And as soon as the lid came up, this huge amount of pure white light came beaming out of that box. And it was so interesting because I had a knowing, like just an internal knowing that came with that instantly. And I knew it was his heart opening up because he had been married before, and the divorce was horrible, the whole situation. He had been hurt extremely, and he had closed off his heart so deeply. He said he was never getting married again. He had that thing locked down. And that was such a powerful vision. And I've had multiple visions.
Tell us another one. One more. Tell us another one.
Well, I'll tell you a couple that it happened. Well, one time I believe it was Mrs. Dakota showed up. I was doing Reiki on somebody. Mrs. Dakota is the person who brought Reiki to the United States. And so I had a gentleman on my table, and I was doing Reiki, and all of a sudden I saw this little vision of a short gal. She looked kind of Asian. She had crazy hair, and I didn't know who she was. And so when we were done, but she was helping. She had her hands down. I think I was holding the gentleman's hand and had another hand on his shoulder, and she was down on the other side with her hands on his feet and his knee. And when we were done, I asked him if he knew if he had a relative or if I described her, and he said, no, that is not, it makes no sense to me. I don't know anybody like that. And so then I called my Reiki master, who is my mentor, and I told her, and she said, that's Mrs. Takata. I can tell you right now, that's Mrs. Takata. And I had a couple times too, this is going to sound probably a little crazy for some, but I was doing Reiki and literally Jesus Christ came in the room.
Wow.
And I am telling you, I can't even tell you.
Yes.
I think it was validation for me to let me know that what I was doing was his work. And I think I could cry right now because
Oh, I got shivers.
I literally almost dropped to my knees. I was like breathless. Tears started running down my face, and I was just in awe. And it happened twice in the matter of a month. And that's the most profound and powerful that has ever happened.
I love that, Paula, because one of the things I'm doing the artist way with these two clowns, and I usually end it because you've got 3 pages and you start and you're like a half page in, like, what else am I going to say? But I usually end it with a prayer. And one of my prayers was, anything that I touch, let it be from light, not from darkness, not from fear, not from dark energy. And so Reiki is part of it. I like the way you described it as you are the channel. And that's it. It's really between God and the person being healed. They're pulling it through them. And I just had an incident similar to yours where I was doing Reiki on someone. And when I got to a certain part in their body, an image came to me and I'm like, really? Like, why this image? But it didn't leave. So I knew that there was something to it. I couldn't interpret it. I didn't know how to interpret it. I didn't want to tell the client. I just figured I was there to heal it and observe it and know that it has something to do with this vision that I saw. So that's very cool. Thank you for sharing that.
I've also had times when I hear messages and I just hear things, and then I end up telling the client and they're like, oh, I had a gal laying on my table, and at the very end, I just heard, be still, grasshopper. I'm like, that is the weirdest thing. Like, why would that come into my mind? And when we were done, I told her that. I said, at the end, the very last thing that just popped into my mind was, be still, grasshopper. And she said, oh my gosh, my friends call me grasshopper.
That's so
Wow.
cool.
Yeah,
That is
I
so
love
cool.
that.
And I think it's there. Yeah, I think that, so that's called clairaudient, right? And I always thought it would be like God booming, blah, 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 whatever. Yeah. And it's really just this message that comes through that 100%, you just heard it. And it sounds like you also have clear cognizance. You just know. I'm a clear cognizant too. Deborah's a clear, what is it? It's the clear feeling. Anyway, we talk about this stuff all the time. Fun.
I love it.
Yeah. Oh boy, I really love that, those experiences. And, we all feel that we were at the original campfire with Jesus, and he said, go out and do my purpose. And we take that very seriously, and all the other religions, or my pastor said the other day, it's not religion, it's relationship. So all the religion that says this, that, and all the man-made stuff, but it's, what is your relationship with a being more powerful than you in your life, the higher power. And I just think that sometimes I feel bad when people don't have that relationship, because it gives me so much strength and so much comfort and so much, it's almost like a safe place to even do adventures and be even more powerful and more adventurous. So that's really cool that you saw that. And we're trying to pay more attention to what it is that our angels and our entities are telling us, right? So we had a guest that said she would get in every morning, and I've forgotten the last week or so, and I need to probably do, and she'd just go, angels up, Come on, get up. I thank you so much for helping me, and we're gonna have a good day together. And it's so basic. People think you have to be all woo woo and everything, and you really don't. You just need to have your awareness up.
Agreed.
Well, Byron, I was looking for it right now, but Byron, who we all are friends with and know well, including Paula. Paula got to meet him right here the other day. And he went through a process with his family this week. And he had to look up authenticity after they left, because he was trying really hard to just be who he is, as opposed to how they defined him and what they were used to or whatever. He's gone through a lot of transitions and he's trying to be authentic. And he sent me this incredible thing to read, and it had a word in it that was, you know how a lot of our words don't really describe enough about love or whatever. And this was a word made up in the Aristotle days about authenticity. And it has to do with your relationship with God and why are you here in the first place. And how the point of it was that the word sin means miss the mark, right? That's the original version of the word sin, means miss the mark. And according to the background of the word authenticity and being authentic is that how close are you to the mark of who God wanted you to come here and be? Mm-hmm. And how far you are off from that mark, I think also has to do with what the word sin is. It's like, get yourself back in order. You're here to be completely powerful and completely knowing that you can have or be anything you want, and that what you wants you. We didn't make it up. It came to us like, you want this or you want that. You didn't make it up. Somebody else did and said that to you and said, it's ready for you. Just go get it. And so I think this word of authenticity and trying really hard to know who we are and how can we have fun and just, show up to say that God's pretty cool. You ought to just do it. It's really fun. And you get to be around really cool people and you don't have anybody drag you down. And so it's a wonderful moment that we're all in. It's a magnificent moment that I would have never thought I would see. This moment now. It's like amazing.
And now we know Paula. I know that you've known her, Trish, but I'm really feel privileged to know you now, Paula. And I can't wait to meet you. It won't be long. I'm going to be out in Phoenix before Trish knows it. And we'll
I'm just going to be here, FOMO.
You can come too, Laura. We'll call you. Okay. I'll call you like you do, Trish, and say, you got to go. You got to go. You're going.
There you go. That's it. Well, Paula, I know we're winding down our hour, and we usually ask people, so I'd like to ask you, from all your experience and your life wisdom, what do you think would be one piece of information you can impart that people can know and carry around to change their lives? Like, what have you learned along the way that would help people the most?
I want people to know that they are powerful beyond measure. And the fact that they are living and breathing in this moment in time, in this space and time, means that they are just as worthy and deserving and as powerful as anybody else on this planet. Or anywhere else, actually. But a lot of people don't know that.
Yep.
Yeah.
We call that row advice. That's row advice from Paula. We're so happy. Also, Paula, could you tell us, we will post this on our Facebook page. I only posted your website because I wasn't sure what information out of all the stuff I had you wanted public. So let us know, how do people get a hold of you? How do people learn about you, your books?
So my website is pauladieck.com or championyourdestiny.com. It all goes to the same information. My phone number is just my cell phone. That's how people get in touch with me. It's 480-205-3226. I am also listed in Psychology Today as a preferred therapist, and my bio is very clear that of the techniques that I use and the certifications that I have, and I am listed under the Carefree section of that. So if people want to, they can go into Psychology Today and check me out there as well.
Ooh, I used to read that.
Me too.
Awesome.
That's
Well-
awesome. We'll make sure that that is listed, and Laura will render up this for live for YouTube, and then she'll give you the link so that you can.
And all of you out there, please go to our YouTube channel. Obviously, we want you to like this group, CodPast, but you know, everybody on YouTube needs at least 100 subscribers, and then they need 1,000 subscribers, and each one of the subscribers just pushes you up in the rankings, so that when you spend more time with really high quality groups that try to make the world a better place, then you can spend your thumbs up with those people, and it really helps create a better world for everybody. And so we really appreciate all the support, and it's, you know, all it takes is a little bit of thumbs up and a little bit of traveling to watch. And thank you.
Yes,
Paula.
like and subscribe.
Thank you, Paula.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Grateful for you.
Yeah, thank
you.
you. All right.
All
Bye,
right, you guys.
everybody.
Have a great week.
Bye, everybody out in Facebook land. I know Dory's out
YouTube
there
land.
watching. Thank you, Dory, honey.
Hi,
Bye.
Dory.
I love you
Thanks,
guys.
Paula.
Bye. Thank
Bye,
you.
bye.